Dillian Whyte testing positive now for 2 de-anabol metabolites. And I'll read some of this from Thomas Hauser. Yesterday, July 24th, Boxing Scene reported that a sample taken from Dillian Whyte by United Kingdom Anti-Doping, UKAD, tested positive for 1 or more banned substances prior to Whyte's July 20th fight in London against Oscar Rivas. Boxing Scene has now confirmed that the substances were epimethadone and hydromethadone, 2 metabolites of the banned drug de-anabol. A metabolite is a byproduct of the body breaking down or metabolizing a drug into a different substance. When a drug is leaving the user's systems, it leaves these intermediate end products. De-anabol is an anabolic steroid that is taken orally, often in tablet form. It was developed in 1955 to treat hypogonadism, but is no longer used medically and is no longer legally available in many countries, including the United States. It can still be purchased in the United Kingdom and is often used as a performance-enhancing drug, particularly by bodybuilders. Among its many side effects, it can cause serious liver damage. The rest of this article, you can find the link below in the description if you want to read more of it. But, I mean, it's pretty self-evident what this is. I mean, first it's an anabolic steroid. Like, there's no, hey, this is cocaine. No, this is marijuana. No, none of that. There's no clenbuterol-like situation where there's plenty of documented medical studies about whether or not clenbuterol is performance-enhancing, and on top of that, whether or not certain areas are at high risk for contamination, such as Mexico and China. VADA themselves have conducted those medical studies, and you can find them on their website. This is anabolic steroids, and I feel like it's pretty self-evident what the conclusion would be, is that it's performance-enhancing. This goes against the rules. This probably should be treated with a heavy suspension, most likely, especially as a second offense. Now, I'm going to address some of the controversies of this situation in a second. But first, I want to address maybe why there is this confusion as to, VADA was involved. Why didn't VADA find anything? Therefore, there must be this conspiracy. Like, I've seen a lot of that going on by boxing Twitter / UK boxing Twitter. Sorry, guys. Just point the fingers at you guys. We're going to listen to Thomas Hauser's own words about this and see what he has to say about why VADA may not have been as efficient in this process as maybe UKAD or others. Just, again, really interesting stuff. And this interview you can find by Boxing Social. I'll post the link in the live chat. But we're going to listen to a brief part of it.
Why was it UKAD picking it up and not VADA?
Okay. First, you have to understand that the WBC Clean Boxing Program, while it's a well-intentioned initiative, has limited impact. VADA gets $10,000 a month from the WBC for the program. If you look at all the fighters in the WBC rankings who are subject to the program, that comes out on an average to something like $40 per fighter per month. That's not a lot of money. You can't do serious...
I want to stop there, even though we're going to continue, but I want you guys to realize how crazy that is. That the Clean Boxing Program, this praised, heralded program from the sanctioning bodies, right? From a sanctioning body, that was applauded by media, fans, fighters, everyone, right? And if you weren't in the Clean Boxing Program, you were suspect. Jay, I'll get to that point. I see you. Don't worry. Thomas gets to that point. I'll get to it. Don't worry. The Clean Boxing Program gets $10,000, or sorry, I should say, gives $10,000 to VADA from obviously the WBC. That is such a limited scope. $40 per fighter for drug testing on average per month? Are you kidding me? It takes tens of thousands of dollars to properly test these guys within training camps randomly, let alone all year, and let alone all these fighters. So we're talking about the WBC clean boxing program having a budget of $120,000 per year. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course nothing gets done. Of course it's an inefficient program that really hasn't caught anyone. And the people that it has caught, it's been, I would say, purely by chance and happenstance that they have caught these people. It's not been because the system is good. The system is innately faulty. Why? Because there's no money in it. It has a name on it. It has a rubber stamp of VADA, and therefore you should accept that it is a good program. But no, there's no money in the program. Absolutely absurd that the clean boxing program gets away with that. That should be a major headline on every boxing YouTube channel, on every outlet, that the clean boxing program is full of shit. Insane. But we're going to get to more of it because Jay Willis does bring a point. Didn't this fight get extra VADA, though? It did. And Thomas is going to bring up that point. Let's listen to a few more minutes, a couple more minutes.
Testing on that. So they're limited in the number of tests that they can do. And also, even if VADA had more money, it's a hit and miss proposition. Many of the drugs that are used today by athletes illegally leave the system within 24 hours. So you can test somebody once a month and you only have a 1 in 30 chance of bagging that fighter if he's using a particular drug. So it's really more of a deterrent effect. The fact that, well, if I'm using and I get caught, I will be seriously punished. But if you get caught and you're not seriously punished, then you just keep using. Also, and I just made the point, but I'll make it again, the problem is not a handful of individual fighters. The problem is the system.
I understand that, particularly with the clean boxing program on behalf of the WBC, but there was additional VADA testing for this fight. Is that correct?
There was some VADA testing for this fight, but not a lot. This was not the sort of situation where you have regular testing. For example, Canelo Alvarez had an issue with clenbuterol in Nevada last year. And what Canelo did was he signed up for a full year of VADA testing at his own expense for $50,000. He said to VADA, here's $50,000. You can come and test me anytime you want. He submitted to all the tests, blood and urine. He never missed a test. And he showed that for the last year at least, he has been a clear fighter. Now, the more money you have to test, the more tests you can conduct. In this instance, VADA had a fringe role. People love to say, oh, we're tested by VADA, because it gives them some sort of imprimatur. But that's not really the case. For example, with the Pacquiao-Thurman fight, the promotion was saying, oh, they're tested by VADA. No. VADA did some collection for the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because Pacquiao at one point was in the Philippines. But unless VADA does the testing and VADA chooses when the tests will be conducted, then you don't really have VADA testing.
We're going to stop it right there. And again, go check out the interview. Link is right there in the live chat when this video is clipped out. For those watching maybe later on a clipped out video, it's going to be down there in the description of the video. There's, again, a lot to cover here. Again, the clean boxing program is complete bullshit. VADA is used as a rubber stamp to sort of excuse lazy drug regulation, PD regulation. And on top of that, be skeptical of when promoters, entity like PBC, for example, because they're like a quasi-promoter. When they start saying, "Oh, this fight's VADA test, this fight has drug, random drug testing," be skeptical of that. Thomas brings up a point later on in the interview. Again, go check it out, about sort of his solution to how this could be done, and his idea would be that the networks would force promoters to do drug testing so that their fight cards don't get ruined, so to speak. And while I think that's a right idea, I think it's still a really bad idea. Why? Because the networks are one of the primary corporations that profit off of these fighters, regardless if they're tested positive or not, regardless of what they do outside the ring, whether it be a Mayweather situation, Marcus Brown situation. Networks don't care. Same with promoters. So I largely think, while Thomas has the right spirit of the idea, that you need some sort of entity outside the promoters to force these promoters to enact a sort of stringent code of, if you're going to be with us, you're VADA tested. I've always been of the mindset that has to come from a governmental oversight, whether that be state commissions and the ABC in the US or the BBBC in the UK, whatever it has to be. In my opinion, has to be government oversight and regulation. Digressing from that point to all the talk of Revis's camp not knowing, Sean Nam has come out, great reporter, and he has talked to Mark Ramsey and all of the Revis's camp, and they have confirmed they have no idea that this happened. They're just as shocked as we are, and they are looking at legal ramifications. I shouldn't say I. Rob sent a screenshot earlier today without the link. I asked him to send the link. Don't have the link at this point. I think he said it was a Daily Mail article, which I know is not one of the greatest sources, but they said that Eddie Hearn was looking into I think the exact wording they used, but some sort of legal ramification about this reporting, a legal injunction of some sort. And this is going to get messy, because the accusation of Eddie Hearn, of the BBBC and UKAD notifying Dillian Whyte and Matchroom, which Thomas Hauser says is due to them being under the rules of and sort of the guidelines that this information, in theory, should not be widely acceptable. Not everyone will be notified of this information until the process is done. Now, I'm forgetting the Fury situation, so I forget how that information came out to the public. But maybe it was a similar situation where a reporter got a tip and then it just came out that way. But digressing from that point, I do think that this is a serious accusation. And even if it is, just, let's say, policy by UKAD, that is extremely bad policy. That a matchup between two athletes will go forward with only one party knowing that they've tested positive for PEDs and the other party not knowing. That is extremely suspect. And again, just bad policy. If it is, in fact, UKAD and BBBC policy, which Thomas Hauser sort of alludes it is. On top of that, the fact that the B sample, we have yet to really hear about it, that should have been expedited. The second that an A sample comes up positive, that B sample needs to be expedited. And I know for UKAD and other testing agencies, they don't necessarily, or they shouldn't know who these test samples belong to. It's usually just a number, number 5AB70Z, whatever it is. But that should be policy as well. If the policy is, hey, let's not notify the camp of the other athlete, the opponents, so to speak, in a sporting event of a positive PD test, let's expedite this process so we know what this is ASAP. I know 3 days was a short window before the fight, but then you just postpone it. Like, one credit to the clean boxing program, and I don't even know if it was them in fact making this decision, but the Wilder Ortiz situation where they just postponed the fight, like that's like at least do that, something. But damn, this entire story is spiraling out of control. The possibility of legal ramifications and lawsuits and injunctions, all just fun stuff ahead. And Dillian Whyte's, again, alleged use of anabolic steroid is damning. Briefly, Rob sending me something from, looks like it's official. Here we go. British Boxing Board of Control anti-doping regulations. With regard to the above, UKAD undertook all anti-doping procedures on behalf of BBC, and any subsequent findings, decisions, and suspensions and sanctions are upheld by the BBC in line with UKAD. No further comment will be made in this time. This is such a weird statement, Rob, because like on my end, I don't know what it looks like on yours, but there's no mention of Dillian Whyte, nothing in this statement, Rob. So I don't know if this is a rule set. I don't know. Rob, let me know what this is, because there's no mention of Dillian Whyte, Matchroom, boxing, anything. It just says, well, it said British Boxing Board Control, but I don't know. Just curious. Again, it's gonna be a scary few weeks here for Dillian Whyte, probably. Matthew D'Souza asking, Matt, how often are fights called off with a failed test 3 days before a fight? I mean, you have obviously certain situations, like one that comes to mind, and it's a weird one, would be John Jones in the UFC. Not particularly this last one, because obviously they moved the event on short days' notice for the event to go on 3 days' notice. We actually have more. The more I think about it, we have more cases, infamous cases of fights going on. But John Jones, when... who was it? Was Dan Henderson popped or something like that? And then Chael Sonnen wanted to come in and he popped. Something happened and they canceled the event, but that's because John Jones didn't want it to fight one of the sort of stand-in opponents. But yeah, actually, to be honest, most of the case, Matthew, these fights go on. Santiago, I'm going to go back to you, okay? Because we have some more breaking news about Dillian Whyte. I apologize. Yo, if this is true, man, this is crazy. This is per the Daily Mail. Again, caveat of the Daily Mail, I think, because I don't think the Daily Mail is the most reputable site, from what I know. Headline is, Dillian Whyte underwent hearing in front of National Anti-Doping Panel just hours before win over Oscar Rivas, ... And he now faces a potential 8-year suspension after testing positive for a banned drug. I'll read a couple lines, I guess. Dillian Whyte underwent a hearing in front of a doping panel just hours before his clash with Oscar Rivas, Sports Mail can reveal. Get this video out of the way. I don't care about that shit. Thank you. It's understood that the 31-year-old and his legal representatives made their case to the independent National Anti-Doping Panel on Saturday morning. He went on to beat Rivas on points in the O2 that evening, despite being called in for questions related to a positive sample. As reported, he was positive for a small bounce of this stuff. We covered the Anabolic. What is that? Stop. Ad. Whatever you're doing. Whyte is expected to comment imminently. A brief statement from his promoter, Eddie Hearn, on Twitter said further to reports can confirm that both Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas were subject to extensive VADA. Not so much. And UKAD testing for their bout. Both fighters were cleared to fight by both bodies and the BB of C. Wow. The fact that a fighter can be, and again, I definitely believe the panel part, because that's a crazy aspect to this story. Like, I don't think the 8-year ban, like, there's some aspects to this, like, I don't believe, obviously, but like, you can't make up and lie. And the supporter Raith Al Samari, sorry if I butchered that name. You can't make up a lie that a fighter was in front of a UKAD panel. It sounds like he's not calling it that, but it sounds like a UKAD panel hours before a fucking like a quasi like silver title fight, whatever, WBC Silver Championship, and he can still go on like and fight, and Rivas not know about it. Like this, interesting. I'm at a loss of words, to be quite honest. If this all happened and Rivas wasn't notified, and Matchroom were aware of it, White's team was aware of it, the BBFC was aware of it, that is damaging to your reputation in this industry. Like, look, we can all sit here and understand the complexities of PD regulation worldwide, including in the U.S., and how there's limitations of it and how there's shadiness innately in it. But to specifically talk about this issue, this is reputation destroying in a way. Like, how do you come back from this? I am, again, a loss of words here. Crazy stuff. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about all of this now, because this information is an added piece to it that makes it seem much more egregious. Like, there was a hearing about this shit in front of UKAD hours before a fight, and they let the fight go on. This is shades of Eric Morales, Danny Garcia, where Morales and his team were aware of it. I think that was New York. New York was aware of it, and they let the fight go on. And then he kept popping for tests after the fact, and then it became more of an issue. This is a little bit different, obviously, because it seems like, I think in that case, Danny Garcia's camp did know. Wow. Crazy stuff here. I'm going to go back to callers again, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Going back out to Santiago. Santiago.